The crisis in Syria, a new president, Iran. Tomorrow, President Obama under intense scrutiny when he addresses the UN General Assembly. Former UN Ambassador John Bolton joins us. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Glad to be with you.
So tomorrow the president speaks to the General Assembly. What should he say tomorrow, and what do you expect him to say?
Well, I don't really expect he's going to say very much new based on the briefings that the White House has given already. I think it'll cover a variety of subjects. The president's obviously going to try and spin the debacle of his diplomacy in Syria into something like a success. He'll talk about the Middle East peace process and presumably have a few words to say about this terrorist attack in Nairobi. But, you know, the briefings don't reveal what the hidden message is or the point that they want to focus on that the president will reveal. But based on what they've said, I don't think he's going to say anything new.
Well, one of the people that we expect is the president of Iran, Rouhani, is going to be there, and the president. There's been some discussion whether he'd be meeting with him or not, or whether Secretary Kerry, I guess, is going to be the foreign minister. But I have a letter that was actually sent by Reverend Billy Graham to the president of Iran about the Christian pastor that's been held there, Abedini, for almost a year. We're just coming up on a year, and asking that he be released. It's sort of interesting that even, we even have religious leaders sort of making a plea to the president of Iran to release this Christian pastor.
Yeah, well, I understand why the Reverend Billy Graham Jr. wants to get this pastor released, and I think there may actually be some grounds for optimism, because I think the Iranians are very cynically using a number of American prisoners they have, a former FBI agent and a couple of others, as pawns, as bargaining chips. And so in a gesture of humanitarian goodwill, it may be that Hassan Rouhani releases this pastor in the very near future. Maybe he'll announce it tomorrow. And that's good for the pastor. We certainly would welcome that, because the detention has been manifestly unfair. But don't think that means the slightest modification in Iran's 20-year-long program to get deliverable nuclear weapons. They are playing the West for suckers. Hassan Rouhani himself did this 10 years ago when he was Iran's chief nuclear negotiator. It was a playbook that worked then, and I think they're going to play it out again now.
Well, the whole text of Reverend Billy Graham's letter to the president of Iran is going to be in the New York Times either, I think, Wednesday or Thursday. It's going to be a whole page. But all right, let me turn to President Bashir of Sudan, who's under indictment with the ICC for genocide. He has sought a visa to come to the United States, and he's apparently booked his flight through Morocco and has a hotel in New York to stay at. I don't know if the visa's been granted or not, but what are your thoughts? Grant the visa or not? And I'll tell you what I think.
Yeah, sure, I'd grant the visa. Look, the guy's a thug, a killer, a murderer, but we have an agreement called the UN Headquarters Agreement and a modus vivendi that allows all kinds of thugs, including Hassan Rouhani, to come to the United States to address the United Nations. I mean, President Bashar of Sudan is nobody you want around the country. Frankly, Hassan Rouhani is the #2 official of a state sponsor of terrorism, designated as such for decades by the Department of State. That means he may not explode terrorist devices, but he's paying for and supplying those terrorist devices, and yet he's going to address the General Assembly tomorrow, and our president might shake his blood-stained hands. So we because we're the host of the United Nations, we get them all.
Well, I want him to come to the United States, so I want to talk to him. I've actually posted pictures on Greta Wire of the kids he's tried to kill, and maybe some successfully, and starved to death. And I've seen some of his handiwork bombing Christian churches and such. So I'd like him to come to the United States, because I'd like it, I'd certainly like to talk to him. I don't know if he'd want to. He's certainly not going to want to talk to me. But
just another day at the UN.
Just another day at the UN. Prime Minister Netanyahu is coming. Do you expect what do you expect him to be saying?
Well, I think what he's going to try and do is give the other side of the diplomatic offensive that the Iranians have undertaken. They're using the first days in office of Hassan Rouhani to smile, to try and convince gullible Westerners that they're moderates and that they're different from Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, and indeed they are different. They're much more savvy in PR terms. They're not going to change a single thing about Iran's nuclear weapons program, but they're going to try and take advantage of President Obama's weakness to buy time, to get relief from the sanctions, and to continue with the nuclear weapons program. I call it the diplomatic equivalent of the P.T. Barnum doctrine. There's a sucker born every minute, and Hassan Rouhani is waiting to meet his tomorrow.
Ambassador, thank you. I'll see you tomorrow night, because we're going to be back with us tomorrow night after the President speaks tomorrow. Thank you, sir.
Indeed. Thank you.